Hello, everybody, and you're welcomed to One Queen and Four Kings. This is our way of celebrating men in our lives who have had different roles that they have played, and we want to take some time to appreciate them. And we are identifying these men using the story of Queen Esther in the Bible and four different men that she had to interact with in different roles. And we call them kings because in that same book, in chapter 1, we got to know that every man is a king in his household. So we are celebrating the kings in our lives. And today, I am kind of, sort of, I wouldn't say excited, but as Queen Esther, I have this very awkward task of talking to one of the men that I had to interact with. Very tough experience, but we still need to talk about it. There are some conversations that are hard that we do need to confront. So anyway, one of those men that I had to deal with is by the way of Haman. And believe you, we have Haman with us here today. Welcome, Haman.
Thank you for having me, Queen. Glad to be here.
You know, sometimes just not being sure of who is who makes us have to protect ourselves. And I think that was one of the things that you had to deal with, because you did not know who I was when you were scheming. You did not know who I was when you were going back and forth from the king. And I am just curious, Haman, how did you get to be this kind of person?
Well, Queen Esther, you're absolutely right. I had no idea that you were one of them, right? That you were one of those Jewish people. If I would have known, I never would have even gone down this road. Okay, I swear it to my grave, and I'm still very, very sorry for that mistake. I had no idea. But you have to understand, Queen, that things aren't just as they appear. You know, everybody looks at me, and history seems to look back at me as just some evil, bad person. But I was a man, okay, a man who worked hard, a man who did my job. Every day, my whole life was dedicated to our kingdom, to our king, to our people, and getting better every day. I worked my tail off, Queen, to work my way up through the ranks. And I reached a place where the king himself elevated me and required everybody else to acknowledge the work that I had done. And Mordecai would not respect that work. Okay, and to others, it may not have seemed like a big deal. Okay, but I worked hard, and everybody in this country knew it. Everybody, except for this foreigner, this dog from another place.
Excuse me, that is my uncle.
I'm sorry. You're right. Your uncle. Your uncle was being very disrespectful. Okay, and I asked him repeatedly to show the proper respect for how we do things in this country, here at this place, and he refused. He absolutely refused. No matter what I did, no matter how patient I was, this lower man than me would not bow. And so I wouldn't have it. I had to do something about it. The people around me were saying, Haman, are you going to let him treat you like that? I couldn't let him win. I had to do something. And then when I found out that he was one of those, forgive me, Queen, when I found out that he was not from here, that he was not a part of our culture and of our people, I wouldn't stand for it, and I knew that everyone else would follow his lead and they might revolt one day and be a threat to our people. It was just in the best interest of our kingdom that I removed this threat from our country. I was just doing the best that I could to do my job, Queen.
Well, thanks for the explanation. It is understandable that a man would work hard and have expectations of results and affirmation like you had. But
Yes.
what I could not get is the hatred and the just inhumanity that would transfer your experience of one man to the whole of his people. For crying out loud, yes, he was a foreigner. And then you went ahead and you made all those plans that I got to know about. Now, did you have anyone to give you counsel at all that the path that you were going was not going to lead you anywhere?
Well, yes, but first of all, I've got to say I didn't get to my position by taking other people's advice. Okay, I made good decisions and I educated myself and I became a good decision maker. So I felt very confident in my choices. All right. Now, as for your people, Queen, and I've got to tell you, just so you can know, you're not like them. All right, you're very respectful. You're beautiful. The king loves you. You've done nothing but great things for this country. But I don't know about that family member of yours, okay? And I don't know about the rest of his
Now,
family.
that is a backhand compliment because you don't know until you get to know a people. You can't say you are giving me a compliment that I'm beautiful, that I am not like them. I am them. And there are many others like me. All you had to do, Haman, was to look beyond your stereotyping, discriminatory attitudes on people that you just don't know. So rather than take that as a compliment, I would say that it's actually an insult.
Well, I apologize. I don't mean to insult you, Queen. You're right. I don't know many of your people. I just know them from afar. And knowing them from afar, all I know is that they're not me. They're not like me, and I don't know them. And because of that, to be quite honest, they're a threat. All right. And you know, if you don't know someone and you feel threatened by their lack of respect for you, um, you got to protect your position at all costs. And that's what I did. And hearing you today, I'm recognizing that there's a different path I could have taken. And to be quite honest, you know, what you're saying is similar to what my wife was telling me. You know, I mentioned it to my wife that this man wouldn't respect me, and I'm sorry, it's difficult for me to even say his name still to this day, but Mordecai wouldn't respect me. And she said, you know, if that Mordecai is a Jew, if he is one of them, then there's no way you could win. And that just boiled my blood even more, you know? Tell me there's something I can't do, and oh boy, let me show you, I'll do it. So my wife tried to warn me, but I refused to get to know him. I refused to have a conversation with him. I refused to understand his people or where he came from. And all I could do was see red. All I wanted to do was destroy him and anybody like him. Except for you, Queen. I didn't want to destroy you. If I could go back, you know, if I could go back and do it again, I would maybe sit down and talk to him. Maybe understand why he just wouldn't show respect. If I just had another chance, Queen.
Well, sorry you missed that opportunity because I had to do what I had to do to bring this to the attention of the king. I had to deal with men like you who become adversarial, that rather than support, they would go against and do everything within their power to pull another human being down. You did what you had to do, and I did what I had to do. And that is why you have no other chance. I had to, first of all, call upon the God of Israel, the God of our fathers, with a 3-day fast. And after I had done that, and now, you see, that banquet that I invited you to, remember that banquet? And you thought that you were in my good favors? That was a strategy right out of heaven, so that I could put you in a position and report to an earthly power who could do something about our situation. I had to find help. I could not die in silence. I could not be a privileged person in the king's court and watch my people, my uncle, my cousins, my people, the girls and the boys that I played around with before I became queen. I had to do something. And I had to talk to the king. But what this also shows me, Haman, is that in order for me to relate to other men like my husband, the king, and all the servants that I worked with, I had to isolate that problem, that bad behavior from the gender. Do you know what that meant, Haman? What I had to do was to say that not everybody is a Haman, that there are some good men out there. And you too can find them. And I think that is something good that I can see that is coming out. Thanks to you, Haman, because the stars shines brighter in the dark. The light of you helped me to appreciate the lights that are unlike you. And that's what this is all about. That is what this is all about, Haman.
Queen Esther, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine what that must have been like for you. What it must have been like to be trapped between two worlds, to have to risk your life to approach your husband, everything you went through to have to save your people. Queen, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine what that was like for you.
I appreciate that, Haman. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, if you had realized this, if you had listened to the voice of your wife, and I'm hoping that other men that are listening will get a cue from this, you would not have hung yourself on the gallows that you prepared for another. And that is why I said you lost that chance. For you, you lost that chance. But there are other men out there who can learn from your experience and make better choices. But for the fact that you were vulnerable, and just by the offside of you, like I said, we can appreciate men who have made better choices than you did. And for that, I am thankful. And I appreciate you letting us know what it meant to be a Haman Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Queen Esther.
So to our audience, as you have watched us, we invite you to be able to go back in those tough life experiences that you may have had with men that was not pleasant, and seek for peace, forgiveness. See it as an opportunity to take on that divine character of God by seeking to God for help. While you may not be able to give them a phone call and say thank you for being mean to me, you can make a choice to forgive them. As we celebrate different men in our lives, yes, we encounter the ones that are tough, like Haman. Thank you for listening, and thanks for being here. One queen and 4 kings. Thank you.